right. All right. Here it is. What's up, Luce? How you doing? We got some cat stories today. You stoked? You should be stoked. Boom. There we go. Hello, everybody. I hope everyone is well. I hope everybody is copacetic. I hope everybody is having an amazing Thursday and that you're rocking and rolling until the break of dawn, quite frankly. Right? That's what we do here. Lucy's here. She's happy. She's purring. I don't know if you can hear it, but she is purring. And I don't need these headphones on right now. I don't know why I have them on already. I wear them when I have to, not all the time. Guys, it is Thursday. And as you know, an impeachment trial is going on. It's happening. They're moving forward with impeachment. What did they do on the very same day? At the very same moment, they pushed through the USMCA. What is that? That's the new NAFTA. And it's just like the old NAFTA, to paraphrase Pete Townsend in The Who. And it has, quote, bipartisan support. Here's what I tweeted about it. While an impeachment trial is going on, Trump was just handed his best re-election gift in USMCA because this is all just a big game and we're the pawns. Happy Thursday. And do we need to say any more? Do we need to say any more? Do you really take this process seriously? Do you really think this is about, quote, resisting Trump? My editor with the mostest, Joseph Cicada, responded, no way. We have so many strong progressives who are good on the issues like trade. We have Sherrod Brown. We have Elizabeth Warren. They'll fight like hell too. Oh, wait. They both back the USMCA. Well, at least we have Bernie and Chuck Schumer on our side, which, yes, Chuck Schumer actually voted against it, and he tweeted about it. My response, I, too, was surprised by Schumer. I think he did it for appearance sake. He knew it was going to fly through the Senate. Joe says, yes, he's up for re-election in 2020. Might be a factor here. Having said that, should we still give him some credit for this? Because I don't think we should make it seem like damned if you do, damned if you don't. At the same time, I don't trust Chuck Schumer at all. I feel ya. I don't trust Chuck Schumer at all either. I think he just did this for appearance sake. Did he? Maybe not. Is he maybe actually against the new NAFTA because it screws over workers just like the old one? It has a few small minor improvements here and there, but it's still an overall terrible bill for the working class, just benefits corporations and doesn't even address climate change. I suppose it's possible. I'm not inside of Chuck Schumer's head. I think he just did it for appearance sake. And guess what? Either way, Chuck Schumer doesn't care what I think. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't watch this show. Maybe I'm wrong. Tweet at me, Chuck, if you watch the show. Also, by the way, they tried to get Bernie Sanders in a gotcha moment about the new NAFTA because everybody on that stage in the debate supported the new NAFTA except for Bernie Sanders. They tried to get him in a gotcha moment. They were like, hey, the AFL-CIO, there's a union. They support the new NAFTA, but you don't. And Bernie Sanders was ready. And he said, yeah, every other union doesn't support the new NAFTA. And every climate group and environmental group, especially the Sunrise Movement, doesn't support the new NAFTA. And I don't support the new NAFTA either. That was one of the finest moments in the debate. They tried to have a gotcha moment with Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders dunked on them in regards to the new NAFTA. So there you go. They're impeaching the guy, but they're giving him this best re-election gift. He'll be able to use that, and he will. He already is. Just search hashtag USMCA on Twitter. A bunch of Trump supporters and people, hey, we got this through. Trump's going to be able to use that on the campaign trail. Hey, we got this great new trade deal through, is what Trump will say, while they were trying to impeach me. While I was on trial for impeachment, while this whole charade was going on, Trump will be able to use that. The resistance. The resistance. Are you convinced this whole impeachment thing is a charade yet? Are you convinced it's not a genuine process at all? Are you hip to the fact that they're not even looking at any of the financial stuff this guy does? Why? Because Democrats are complicit in that. This is all just political theater. This isn't about justice. To paraphrase Tyrion Lannister when he was in Castle Rock, if you're looking for justice, you're in the wrong place. If you're standing in the middle of all this impeachment charade and you're looking for justice, you're in the wrong place. This is a game. Adam Schiff is a grifter. Donald Trump is one too. What they have in common, they're both actor wannabes who don't give a shit about you. All right, let's move on. Just so you know, happy Thursday. Gave him the new NAFTA while they're trying to impeach him. But you know what? There's a little bit of good news. So, I mean, there's always a little bit of good news, right? We talk about facial recognition a lot on this show. I was part of a campaign along with Fight for the Future to get facial recognition banned, and that campaign was very successful. Since then, Oakland, California has banned facial recognition. So is San Francisco. By the way, those are the places where the technology was developed. Isn't it interesting? The cities where this technology is developed, they're saying no thanks. Why are they doing that? Because they know the most about it. You might be thinking, well, Ron, it's just a new technology. Why is that so? Well, because first of all, it's incredibly faulty. It has mismatches about 98% of the time in some cases. Study after study has shown that it doesn't help anyone catch a bad guy. All it helps with is over-policing our society. The databases have been breached often, and if that gets in the wrong hands, that could be catastrophic. Police have used facial recognition databases for dishonest means, like trying to find information on an ex. All it is doing is over-militarizing our police forces, and it's not making us safer. So we shouldn't have it. Who's the only candidate that has come out in favor of banning facial recognition? Bernie Sanders. During that campaign, I reached out to several different presidential candidates. Most of them didn't get back to me at all. One of them got back and said, we're too busy to even look at this. Bernie Sanders got back and came out in favor of banning facial recognition. Just for the record. And AOC now is coming out against facial recognition, which I'm glad to see. So here's what I'm glad to see this from AOC, and here's what AOC had to say. Let's check this out. Watch part of it because I don't want to get dinged.
We've heard a lot about the risk of harm to everyday people posed by facial recognition. But I think it's important for people to really understand how widespread this is. Ms. Whitaker, you made a very important point just now that this is a potential tool of authoritarian regimes, correct?
Absolutely.
Can you remind us of some of the most common ways that companies collect our facial recognition data?
Here we go.
Absolutely. They scrape it from sites like Flickr. Some use Wikipedia. They collect it through massive networked market reach. So Facebook is a great example of that.
So if you've ever posted a photo of yourself to Facebook, that could be used in a facial recognition database?
Absolutely, by Facebook and potentially others.
Could using a Snapchat or Instagram filter help hone an algorithm for facial recognition?
Absolutely.
Can surveillance camera footage that you don't even know is being taken of you be used for facial recognition?
Yes, and cameras are being designed for that purpose now.
And keep in mind, they did that in London, where they actually had police on the street gathering data for facial recognition. It got nipped in the bud real quick, but they did that in London. We covered this on we covered that on the show when it happened.
And so currently cameras are being designed. People think, I'm going to put on a cute filter and have puppy dog ears and not realize that that data is being collected by a corporation or the state, depending on what country you're in order to track your, to surveil you potentially for the rest of your life. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you think average consumers are aware of how companies are collecting or storing their facial recognition data?
I do not.
In a previous hearing, we were talking about how facial recognition is oftentimes have the highest error rates for Black and brown Americans.
This is one of the things that we just mentioned, and one of the things that we covered in the Ban Facial Recognition campaign.
And the worst implications of this is that it a computer algorithm will tell a Black person that they have likely committed a crime when they're innocent. So let's say if you walk into a technology store, or as this technology spreads, you just walk into a store in the mall, and because the error rates for facial recognition are higher for Black and brown folks, you get misidentified as a criminal. You walk out, and let's say an officer stops you and say, someone has accused you of a crime, or we think that you've been accused of a crime.
Stuff like this has already happened. There have been, for instances, where people have been deported to countries they've never even been to because of faulty facial recognition software that said they were a non-documented person.
No idea that facial recognition may have been responsible for you being mistakenly accused of a crime. Is that correct?
That's correct, and we have evidence that it's often not disclosed.
And so that evidence is often not disclosed, which also compounds on our broken criminal justice system, where people very often don't get entitled to the evidence against them when they're accused of a crime. Is that correct?
Yes, the Willie Lynch case in Florida is case in point.
So what we're seeing here is that these technologies are almost automating injustices, both in our criminal justice system, but also automating biases that compound on the lack of diversity in Silicon Valley as well.
Absolutely. These companies do not reflect the general population, and the choices they make and the business decisions they make are in the interest of a small few.
So, Madam Chairwoman, I'd say this is some real life Black Mirror stuff that we're seeing here. And I think it's really important that everyone really understand what's happening, because this is, as you pointed out, Ms. Whitaker, this is happening secretly as well, correct?
Yes.
All right.
So I have not seen Black Mirror. Thanks for rubbing it in, AOC. No, I think this is great. I'm glad AOC is doing this. She's had some really good takes on this stuff, and I really like the fact that she's doing this. I also like what she's been doing with The Intercept in regards to climate change. I certainly haven't agreed with every single take AOC has had. I've disagreed with her before, but I think overall she's doing a good job, and this is an example of something I'm really glad is going on. And another thing that's happening in regards to facial recognition. So Fight for the Future, the organization that I collaborated with the initial facial recognition campaign, here's something they're doing now. This is going on in college campuses. So here's something they're doing, and you can find them, Fight for the Future, over on Twitter, and banfacialrecognition.com. CIIS is not using facial recognition, and we're not making any plans to use this technology in the future. So they're getting college campuses to get on board with the promise to ban facial recognition technology on their campus. And here's, let's go to this website here. We'll plug this in. So this is part of the initial, this is banfacialrecognition.com /campus. So here's what's going on. Ban facial recognition on campus. We all read Orwell's 1984 in high school. Okay, got to stop for a second there. Here's a fun, true story about a different time in my life when I was an adjunct teacher at a university. It was a community college, and I was an adjunct instructor there. I don't use the word professor because I'm technically not a professor. I don't have my PhD, so I'm not a professor. I have a master's, which qualifies me to teach undergrads at the college level, and I have, but I do not have my PhD, so I'm technically not a professor. I know you guys really care. I know that's really important. We were like, Ron, we were going to cancel the show forever if you did not make that distinction. Thank you so much. But in fairness, not a professor. Anyway, was an instructor. And one time I was just given a lesson. I taught public speaking and speech communication. And I go, so, like you've all read Orwell's 1984. I said that to a group of college students, and they all looked at me with blank stares. And I go, who here's read 1984? No one raised their hand. And I'm like, nobody in this class has read 1984. Like, no one had to read that in high school. Blank stares. This was in Nashville, Tennessee. Tennessee, not the highest ranked state for education. And I'm like, you guys are kidding me. Like, none of you have read 1984. Not one student in this class. There were about 30 students in this class. Not one of you have read. Lucy's like, I'm going to go read 1984 right now. I'm going to go reread it. I've read it before, but holy shit. I'm going to go. You going to go? You go read 1984? Is that what you're going to go to? Nope, you're chilling. She's indecisive. And I go, none of you have read 1984. Finally, one student in the class raised his hand. And I was like, all right, so you've read 1984. And he's like, no. And he goes, I just wanted to say, Mr. Placone, you haven't seen all the Fast and Furious movies. That was his rebuttal. I hadn't seen the Fast and Furious movies. And that's on par with reading 1984. And that's when I was like, oh, man, we're in trouble. So fight for the future. You're being a little too optimistic about the future. We all read Orwell's 1984 in high school. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Had I been part of this campaign specifically, I would have been like, guys, sorry, but we might need to take that off the website. But some people didn't get the warning. Facial recognition surveillance is spreading. If we don't speak out, soon every campus could be equipped with invasive technology that monitors everything we do, including who students hang out with and what they do outside of class. It's time to ban facial recognition on campus before we have no liberties left. So whether you are student, alumni, professor, parent, administrator, employee, or community member, your voice matters. Fill out the form below. Boom, and here it is. So if you are an academic person, banfacialrecognition.com/campus. If you're just interested in this issue more generally, banfacialrecognition.com. Do it. Fight for the future. Thanks for staying on top of this. And AOC, thanks for being part of this. All right. So that's a little bit of good news. And now we're going to move on to something a little more discouraging. This is not good news. Not good news. Check this out. So this happened in the Los Angeles area recently. Now, one of the things that the Sunrise Movement really talks about a lot is environmental racism. And well, what does that mean? What is environmental racism? Well, environmental racism refers to, for instances like the story we covered a couple days ago about that area of Detroit that is one of the most polluted places in the country, where it's hard to even walk outside without getting nauseous because of all the smog from oil refineries and toxic dumping and what they just had. I mean, just smokestacks, coal processing plants, just all these things that they had in this community. And why does that happen? Well, that happens because corporations know that it's cheaper for them to be in a poor neighborhood. It's cheaper for them to, do all their environmental infractions there. And the poor people have no recourse. What are they going to do about it? How are they going to get it out of their neighborhood? They can't afford to fight back. And the corporations know this. So they use poor neighborhoods for their dumping grounds, basically. What are you going to do about it? It's in your backyard and you can't stop it. Another, for instance, is when jets need to release their fuel. They do it in poor and underserved neighborhoods, especially in the Los Angeles area. Because Los Angeles is a very densely populated place. And there are, for instances, where planes need to let go fuel. And they're doing that in rich neighborhoods. Well, they're doing that in poor neighborhoods. And here's a, for instance, where, a much more significant violation took place. A Delta plane injured 26 people by dumping fuel over an elementary school. Here's why planes dump fuel and how they usually try and avoid hitting people. So this Delta plane dumped jet fuel over an elementary school, causing minor injuries to children and adults on Tuesday. Now, here's why planes dump fuel. What happens is they will want to be at a certain weight when they take off and a certain weight when they land. Sometimes if they're not going to meet that weight for whatever reason, they need to dump fuel. And usually when they do it, they'll try to do it in a number of ways. First of all, they might fly around a little while to just burn more fuel. Otherwise, they might say, hey, where can we safely dump this fuel? So they are supposed to do so over unpopulated areas and at a high enough altitude for the fuel to vaporize before reaching the ground. It is not yet clear why the plane could not fly higher while dumping the fuel, but Delta said its plane had to return to LAX quickly because of an engine failure. Now, obviously, this situation is an extreme one. it's not like this is regular protocol. But what happened was they had a situation where they had to get back to LAX immediately. The plane was not sufficient to make the trip. They were flying lower than they should have been because of that. They were just trying to get back. They were at a lower altitude. They thought they were not going to have to dump any fuel. Like they thought, like ground control asked them, "Do you need to dump fuel?" The pilot said no. For whatever reason, as they were en route to LAX, that changed. Maybe they found that they, like for whatever reason. I mean, I'm not a pilot, so I don't know why exactly that changed. But they told ground control, "We do not need to dump fuel." And then that changed. I'm sure they didn't lie. I'm sure they weren't intentionally like, "No, we don't need it. We're going to dump it on this school." I'm sure that's not what happened. I'm sure that at the time when they reported to ground control, they didn't think they needed to dump fuel. Later, they decided they did need to for whatever reason that was. And I guess they felt they didn't have time to, update that information. They just had to act. So obviously, this is an extreme case. But the reason this is nowhere, first of all, there were injuries. It landed on kids at a school and people at a school. Also, for other neighborhoods, this is commonplace. Not necessarily that they're flying at a low enough altitude that it injures people on the regular, but when you're constantly using poor, underserved neighborhoods to just dump your fuel, of course it affects the air quality. And when people say environmental racism and environmental discrimination, this is what they're referring to. Because typically it affects communities of color and poor neighborhoods. And of course, this is for instance, in the extreme, where because of an issue that was not handled properly. Now, maybe it was completely unpreventable. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know exactly. But based on the details we have, ground control, do you need to dump fuel? They said no. Then it turns out they did need to dump fuel, and they did it over a school. So, and, it doesn't look like anyone was seriously hurt, so that's good. But, it's kind of crazy that stuff like this has happened, that, when they have to dump fuel, obviously they should be high enough, where it's not going to injure people on the ground, but also it should be required that they're in an unpopulated area. They try for an unpopulated area, but really that's code for, well, we try for an unpopulated area, but if we don't get there, a poor neighborhood will do. All right. So that's something that is part of our world, unfortunately. All right. So here's something fun. 2 people submitted stories about cats today. Truth to Tweet and Jack both submitted story. Well, actually, Truth to Tweet story is more about pets in general. Jack's story deals specifically with cats and our feline friends. So what we're going to do, we're going to combine them. Because you know me, it's our last show of the week. I like a good cat story, don't I? I always like a good cat story. So here is where we're going with this. So first, we'll go to Truth to Tweets. Because I feel like, it's ironic that both of these stories were sent in, because I feel like they kind of connect a little bit. All right, let's dive in. So pets are critical for older adults. That's a new study that Sarah Zeff-Geber is contributing to here over on Forbes. Don't use Forbes too often here, but, when it comes to a pet story, I'm cool with that. I wrote about the importance of pets to older adults back in 2018. This is from the article. But this is a topic that is timeless and grows in importance. Almost 2 years later, I've gathered more information and am more convinced than ever that a companion pet is not only important for an older adult, it can be a critical component of an active, healthy, connected life. Okay, when it comes to deciding where to live in retirement, 70% of respondents said their pet is a factor in making the decision, and 82% said they would not consider moving to a senior living community without their pet. When asked if they would feel lonelier without their pet, 86% said they definitely would. What did the other 14% say, by the way? Like, what did they say? I'm curious about that 14%. Would you be lonelier without your pet? I don't know. I guess that 14% must be people who have like fish or something. Like I mean, no offense to fish as pets, but Lucy, see, she knew. She's like, you're talking about pets. I got to get here. What's up, Luce? Isn't that crazy? She heard pets and she jumped in my lap. She gets it. She knows. She's like, this is I'm on, right? We're doing a cat story. This is me, right? The article goes on to say over 60% of elderly people with pets, they have dogs. And then close second is cats with about 50-some% there. But, they're saying as you're older, pets, their companionship really helps you a lot. It contributes. And that's something that I think we have found with all ages. There's studies out there that when kids have pets, it helps their immune system because they're around these fur balls all the time. It builds up their immunity. And I feel when you're older, it helps extend your life, I feel like. Because, you have this companion. It keeps you going. It gives you, a lot of elderly people, as they get older, the biggest thing that they need is a sense of purpose. They need, a sense of purpose. When my grandmother was not able to live on her own anymore, I was strongly encouraging my parents to find her a good retirement community. And I told them, and, my parents were a little more OG about it, where they have this stereotype of assisted living facilities where they're all just these, places that are neglecting the residents and not caring for them and taking advantage of them. And of course that happens. That still happens today. But a lot of assisted living facilities are wonderful places that give elderly people a sense of community. It gives them a lot of their independence back, and it gives them a high quality place to spend their remaining days. And you just got to do your homework, right? And I told my parents this, and my parents kind of fought it. She was living with them. And it was difficult for everyone involved, because she felt like her independence was gone. They kind of, it was kind of a little bit of a burden on them. In some ways, it was like having a kid again. So it was difficult. And eventually they found her a really good facility where she made new friends and she had this sense of purpose, and she befriended a lot of the people who helped take care of her. And, she's no longer with us. She lived to the amazing age of 101 years old. Rest in power, Grandma. But, she had, I think, a happier end of her life than she would have had otherwise, because she was in this great facility. Now, my grandma didn't have a pet because she never had pets growing up, and she was kind of scared of them. But Lucy, she liked you. You were like one of the only animals she liked. She almost pet you at one point. I don't know if you remember it, but great grandma almost pet you. And it was because Lucy just knew that she was afraid of her, and she stayed away. Like, she would keep her distance. Like, she would hang out in the same room with her, but she'd be on like the other side of the couch or something. Like, it was like Lucy got it. And as a result, my grandma liked Lucy. Like, yeah, I like Lucy. She's cool. She does cool stuff, but she leaves me alone. She doesn't get too close. You're so smart, Lucy. But anyway, so when you're older, this really enhances your quality of life, and new studies are showing that. Well, here's a study that Jack shares. Speaking of older people who, have more behind them than ahead of them, and cats, Jack wanted us to know about this. Here's an interesting component here. This is from the Washington Post. Compelling new evidence that your cat might eat your corpse. Now, I thought this was something that we just kind of knew would eventually happen, but left alone, a human corpse will be feasted upon by maggots. Also, depending on the circumstances, by a cat. I am fine with that. I'm fine with that. Look, I hope to have cats for the rest of my life. And it's very plausible that at one point, I'm going to have a cat that will probably still be around when I'm not. Usually the issue with the pet is that, you're going to outlive them. And of course, that's sad. Saying goodbye to them is the hardest part. But, when you're really old, you might be like, I might be really old. I might have a kid, and I'm going to be like, dude, there's a good chance that you're going to be around after I'm gone. I'm going to make arrangements so that they'll be taken care of after I pass on. And honestly, should something happen where, maybe I fall, maybe I just don't wake up, and for whatever reason, and nobody finds me for a while. Eat up. I'm not around to feed you. Eat up. Go for it. It's my body. I don't need it anymore. I'm dead. Eat up. Feast. When I'm dead, I want to be as little of an issue for people as possible. That's all I want. After I'm dead, when somebody finds me, I want to be as not gross as possible. I'm going to be a little gross, right? That's inevitable. But if it's like, hey, my cat ate most of me, so most of the gross stuff my cat ate, and my cat's good because it had food. He or she had food, right? If something happens, heaven forbid, if something crazy happens to me, Lucy, and you have to eat me, eat up. That's cool. I mean, what? I don't need it. I don't. Once I'm dead, I don't need my body anymore. I don't need it. And I know, some of you might have some religious beliefs that you wouldn't be okay with something like that, and that, no judgment here, but that doesn't apply to me. And so I'm saying my perspective, whatever. I know that I think I remember one time I was talking with my mom, and we were talking about an issue of mortality. And I just said, look, if anything were ever happened to me, which heaven forbid, I hope not. But, if anything were to happen to me, well, you guys are, still alive. I think I would want to be cremated. And my mom was like, oh, I can't do that. I don't believe, my family's Catholic. So I don't know. I guess in Catholicism, there's an issue with cremation. I have no idea. I don't, I used to work in a funeral home when I was a kid. So I guess maybe then I should be against cremation because it hurt my business. But I'm just like, I don't need to take up any more space. Just, I would be like, give my body to science. I mean, I think there's a way you can sign up to do that where you're just like, yeah, give my body to science, or let my cat eat me. Honestly, that's, in fact, I think that might be my favorite. Like that would be among the best uses I could think of for my body. Give it to science, see what they can do with it. See what they can find out. Or just share it with the stray cats. I want all my feline friends to be well fed, and if I can, whatever. That's going to be my thing. Be either science uses it, or give it to all the stray cats. And if my cat's still around, let them go to town. It's your body. You don't need it. But Washington Post, your feline might eat you. Dogs, on the other hand, they won't eat you because they're more loyal. Well, maybe cats just get it. Maybe cats are like, you're dead. You don't need this anymore. I might as well eat it. You're not going to give me a treat anytime soon. Might as well eat you. Maybe it's like a respect ritual. By eating you, it's like you're becoming part of them. And they're like, we will carry on your memory as we're shitting you out in a litter box. You will live on in the hairballs and shit that we deposit. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. That's really is serendipitous the right word there? But that's interesting that two pet stories were shared today, and they kind of connect. Elderly people and pets, and hey, when you die, your cat might eat you. Boom. Happy Catter Day, because this clip will probably drop on a Catter Day. You know it. All right. And happy early Catter Day for everyone who's watching this live. Now, let's see. So, let me see what you guys are saying. And let's not forget tour dates. I got them. I got tour dates, y'all. When are my tour dates? Well, we're starting right at home. Lucy, come on, hang out for the rest of it. She's like, the cat story's over. I'm bouncing. See, she's like, the cat story's over. I get it. I'm bouncing. I don't want to be here anymore. I did my thing. Let's see. Inks Pixels, thank you very much for the super chat contribution, buddy. Inks Pixels, also the brilliant illustrator who illustrates Lucy and Ron, the webcomic, lucyandron.com. Maybe we'll have an issue where Lucy and Ron talk about whether or not it's cool for her to eat them. That'd be a fun comic. What if we have that discussion? We're like, yeah, if something happens to me, you can just go ahead and eat me. I'm cool with it. If you already read 1984, great book, read Aldous Huxley's Brave New World while you're at it. Read both of them. I agree with you, Inks Pixels. I have read both of those books. And there's also an amazing book called Amusing Ourselves to Death, where they draw the connection between Aldous Huxley's Brave New World and George Orwell's 1984. Will we reach the dystopia by force, or will we just willingly enter the dystopia by amusing ourselves to death? Who was right, Huxley or Orwell? I think in many ways they were both right. Ooh. Tisha T, thank you very much for the Super Chat contribution. How much influence do you think the uninformed have on the future, especially when the media sells lies to them and they are unable to differentiate between truth and lies? Ooh. How much influence? I think a lot. You know, I mean, there's a lot of uninformed people. There's a lot of misinformed people. There's a lot of informed people. And amidst those informed people, they agree on some things, disagree on others. So, yeah, I think the uninformed have a lot of say in the future. And unfortunately, we have a structure where becoming informed is not easy because we have a media structure where these companies aren't news companies. They're Comcast-approved PR companies. So I guess the short answer to that, a lot. The long answer belongs in a dissertation that I'm not going to write. I left academia, and I'm glad I did so. Tour dates, though, I got them. But Tisha, thank you very much for those thoughts. Inks Pixels, thank you very much for your thoughts as well. And guys, please read 1984 and Brave New World if you haven't already. I have a feeling a lot of people watching the show have already read both. But if you haven't, definitely read those books. They're amazing. Guys, tour dates, I got them. January 25th, Santa Clarita, California. February 8th, Tucson, Arizona. February 29th, San Francisco, California. March 12th, Orlando, Florida. March 13th, Tampa, Florida. March 14th, Miami, Florida. April 10th, I'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's just me, not me and Graham Elwood. April 24th, Graham Elwood and I will be in Seattle. April 25th, Portland, Oregon. May, getting into May now. May 14th, Indianapolis, Indiana. May 15th, Detroit, Michigan. May 16th, Cleveland. Hold tight. Tickets will be available real soon. June, we got a new announcement for you in June. June 19th, Louisville, Kentucky. June 20th, Nashville, Tennessee. Tickets are available now, Nashville. Please welcome me back to my old stomping ground. And June 21st, Atlanta. Hold tight. Tickets should be available real soon. Hold tight, Atlanta. July 11th, Chicago. July 12th, Milwaukee. And that's right before the convention, baby. July 11th in Chicago. July 12th in Milwaukee. Moving into August, DC. Mark your calendars. I believe August 14th. Mark your calendar, DC. August 15th, mark your calendar, Philadelphia. More information is coming soon. September 10th, New York City. We're coming back to New York City in September. Tickets will be available real soon. And East Coast, hold tight. Boston, we're coming. Portland, Maine, we're coming. Burlington, Vermont, we should be coming. We're trying to get to you, Burlington. In October, Madison, Minneapolis, we're working on that. Should be able to confirm it soon. So, guys, tour dates, we're hitting the road. Get those tickets at ronplacone.com. A lot of them are available now. The rest of them are coming very soon. If you want to support this show on the sustainability end, please do consider becoming a patron. Patreon.com/ronplacone for a give what you can level. You get all kinds of exclusive content. You get my album in its entirety. You get full stand-up clips not available anywhere else. You get dialogues between myself and my cat Lucy before they get illustrated. You get behind-the-scenes footage. You get a patrons-only stream once a week where only the patrons can contribute. Guys, that's all for your give what you can level, and you help me start the docu-series on municipal broadband. You help me start the music interview series. You help me expand this show. You help me get better equipment. You get it. Patreon.com/ronplacone if you are so able. I want to make a lot of expansions, and I can only do that with your help. Patreon.com/ronplacone. If you want to contribute another way, please email me. Some of you guys have been asking about different means. Please email me, ronplacone.com. Email me, and I'll get you some PayPal info and stuff like that. And I'm going to get that on my website soon as well. But anyway, guys, before we sign off here, I know that there was, first of all, before I go, Truth to Tweet and Jack, thank you for the pet stories. Inks Pixels, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Tisha, thank you for the Super Chat contribution. Guys, as you know, the footage or the audio rather, from the Liz Warren and Bernie Sanders debacle, whatever you want to call it. The for instance, well, that stuff has been released. The audio has been released, and what really went down? Now, a lot of people are saying this was definitely planned. That Liz Warren, she definitely knew what was happening. She knew her mic was hot, and she wanted to do this to kind of help. She wanted to kind of catch Bernie. Well, I got some good news. The good news is we actually do know the truth. We actually have the truth, and we have a contributor who's here to share it with you right now. So, guys, this is it for me. I'm signing off for the week. Well, actually, we have a guest tomorrow, so we will be having an interview tomorrow. And then, of course, the Get Your News On with Ron regular stream will be back on Monday. But in the meantime, I will see you guys not until tomorrow. So I'm signing off. Lucy says meow, I say peace. But please stay tuned, because we got a big truth bomb for you. This is how it really went down and why it really went down between Liz Warren and Bernie Sanders. Hello. Yeah, it was me. This is Chaos Agent 11. What really went down between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren? Well, I will tell you. I know you're thinking, wow, twice in 1 week. This is incredible. I never thought we'd get it twice in 1 week. But what can I say? There was a lot of chaos this week. Lot of chaos. And here's what's really going on. So here you have it. Liz Warren had a hot mic, and she wanted to confront Bernie Sanders. Here's what happened. Let's watch.
I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Whoa, going out the gate.
You called me a liar on national TV?
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion? We'll have that
Anytime.
discussion. You told me. All right, let's not do it now.
I don't want to get in the middle, but I just want to say hi, Bernie.
Yeah, good.
Tom Steyer just wanted to say hello. He's just a lonely billionaire looking to say hi. That's all Tom Steyer is. Lonely billionaire looking to say hi. Now look, you're probably wondering, was this totally planned? Did she know her mic was hot and she wanted to say this? Yes, of course she did. Whose idea was it, you're asking? Mine. It was my idea. I coached Liz Warren through it. I said, look, you will say, hey, Bernie, think you called me a liar on national television. And then you need to be prepared to respond. If he says, no, I didn't, you say, you know what happened. I was her coach. I gave her improv classes. I was like, yes, and Liz Warren, let's practice. And she goes, Bernie, you called me liar. And I was like, no, I did not. And she was like, well, okay, I think that I will. And I'm like, Liz, no, you have to bring it home and say that's not what happened. And then when he says, no, I didn't call you liar, you're saying I'm telling the truth. Then you've caught him, because then he will acknowledge your side of conversation. That was how I coached Liz Warren through it. Bernie Sanders did not fall for trap. Why did Bernie Sanders not fall for trap? Easy. Because Bernie Sanders has better improv teacher. He too had improv class. That improv class prepared him for a moment. He was better prepared. This is Los Angeles. Maybe he went to UCB. Maybe he went to Groundlings. Actually, you want to know where he really went? You want to know who Bernie Sanders' improv teacher was? Me. That's right. I taught both of them improv, and I taught them both equal level. Both equal level. I taught them improv. I said, Bernie, what if she comes at you and says, hey, you're a liar? He was like, well, that's not true. I will do this. And then I was like, Liz Warren, you call Bernie a liar, and then you do this. Bernie got it right. Why did Bernie get it right? Well, because Bernie better at improv. There you have it. That's the real lesson here. The real takeaway. Bernie Sanders, better at improv than Liz Warren. They both had same teacher, me. Why was I both people teacher? Chaos. You know why. Chaos. Bernie handled it well. He gets A in my class. Liz Warren, not A. Whatever grade other than A is, that's what she gets. But Bernie got A in improv class. Good job, Bernie. Congratulations. Your diploma is in mail. So there you have it. There's the truth. And in the meantime, you know drill. Meow says black cat, and I say chaos.